Imagine watching the greatest military force your people have ever assembled, now limping back home in absolute ruins. This was the reality for the Pallava dynasty in the early 7th century. Their capital, Kanchipuram, had just been battered by the Western Chalukya king, Pulakeshin II. In the immediate aftermath of this crushing blow, the defeated Pallava king died. He left behind a shattered military, a highly vulnerable throne, and his young son, Narasimhavarman. But this new king carried a distinct title, Mamalla, which translates to the Great Wrestler, and he was about to prove exactly how he earned it. Mamalla inherited a crown with a ticking clock attached to it. He knew the Chalukyas would eventually return to finish off his kingdom, so he spent the first years of his reign quietly preparing a massive, aggressive counterstrike. That ticking clock eventually ran out. Pulakeshin II quickly mobilized his massive army and marched back toward Kanchipuram to deliver the final, lethal blow to the Pallavas. Only this time, Mamalla was waiting for him. He intercepted the invasion force just outside his capital at a place called Manimangalam. The resulting violent clash shocked the subcontinent. The Chalukya forces had built a reputation as an invincible war machine, but Mamalla's newly trained ranks completely broke their lines and sent them retreating in panic. Standard military doctrine of the era would dictate fortifying the borders and celebrating the survival of the state. Mamalla did the exact opposite. He ordered his men to chase the fleeing army. On this tactical map, Pallava forces surged forward in a single line of advance, pushing hundreds of miles from Kanchipuram into the Chalukya homeland. Mamalla zeroed in on the enemy capital, knowing true security requires destroying your enemy at their source. In 642 AD, the Pallava army breached the gates of the Chalukya capital, Vatapi. They stripped the city of its wealth and burned it to the ground. The blood feud that began with Mamalla's father ended here. Pulakeshin II was killed in the carnage of his own collapsing city. Standing in the ashes of his rival's empire, Mamalla inscribed his victory onto a stone pillar and claimed a new title for himself, Vatapikonda, the conqueror of Vatapi. With the continental threat neutralized, the king immediately pivoted his military focus toward a completely different frontier, the ocean. Mamalla launched 2 massive naval expeditions across the sea to Sri Lanka. His goal was to restore his close friend, the exiled Prince Manavarman, back to his rightful throne. In less than 10 years, he took a broken state and engineered a military machine that commanded absolute supremacy across both the land and the sea. With his borders secured and his treasury overflowing with the spoils of Vatapi, the warlord transitioned into a visionary. He directed that wealth towards the coast, commissioning a sprawling complex of monuments at Mamallapuram, a city we now know today as Mamallapuram. His grandest commission here was the Pancha Pandavarathas, or the 5 chariots. What makes these structures remarkable is their sheer execution. Every single one of these towering chariots was carved entirely out of one continuous, solid boulder. He surrounded these temples with intricate rock-cut reliefs, like the massive Descent of the Ganges panel, cementing the site's future as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This architectural explosion represented a sharp intellectual shift. Mamalla recognized that his armies could conquer foreign land, but only stone and culture possessed the power to conquer time. We don't have to rely purely on Pallava records to prove the success of this cultural golden age. We have an objective third-party audit from the famous Chinese scholar and traveler Xuanzang. He arrived in the Pallava capital around 640 AD, right in the middle of Mamalla's reign. His journals document a staggering reality. He walked through a thriving, intensely wealthy metropolis with a circumference of 6 miles. Instead of finding a society drained by constant warfare, he observed a population of brave citizens who deeply valued learning, maintaining over 100 fully functioning Buddhist monasteries. Narasimhavarman I started his rule with a brutal, all-consuming quest to avenge his father. But that violent campaign achieved exactly what it was designed to do. It forged the lasting peace and prosperity required to leave an immortal mark on human history.